The biggest struggle I have as a content creator and marketer is consistency. And I bet if you're watching this video, that's probably your biggest challenge as well. And in this video, I want to talk about that and perhaps give you some tips on what you can do to try to improve consistency and not beat yourself up too much when periods of inconsistency happen. So, I'm a trial lawyer. I have an active civil litigation, especially personal injury practice. That's what I do. That's my day job. I also run a law firm. I'm an owner of the law firm and I'm on the management committee. So I'm in the day to day activities of the firm dealing with personnel and hiring and decisions about vendors and all that kind of stuff, right? And I also do marketing and primarily my marketing, the stuff that I do to try to raise awareness of my practice. That's a lot of videos um, and different social media, but primarily videos. And it takes time to do that. I have web content. I have, other, Google business content, a lot of which I've delegated, but that's a time consuming thing in like marketing in terms of like referrals and relationships and going to conferences and all those kinds of things. That takes time as well. And I personally find it almost impossible to maintain a consistent good balance between all those things. And I'm almost certain that you probably can relate to that to some extent. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a lawyer from a competing law firm. They're my biggest competitor in my area. And they're strictly an injury firm, and they have a very, very robust marketing system that the firm does. They've got billboards and TV and radio and social media, you name it. I mean, they're doing they're doing everything you have to do if you want to be a serious player in a modern personal injury market. And I'm jealous. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm very jealous of what they're able to do. And I compare that to what I'm able to do kind of on my own with my own time and money. You know, I'm just scratching the surface compared to what they do. So I was talking to them about, what's it like to be a lawyer there at that firm, And for the most part, the lawyers doing the work aren't having to market. That's all being done by someone else. That they're not investing their own time and money. Um, they are not really having to handle what we call intake or, the calls that come in. So they don't have to deal with intake, which is, if you don't know what that is, that's sales. That's, calling leads or having leads call you. And that takes time. And a lot of, for most of us, a large percentage of the people that call us, either we can't help them or we don't want to work with them, right? They're not qualified. They don't have to deal with that. Um, and they aren't having to worry about running the firm. They're not being responsible for personnel, budgets, hiring decisions, things like that. They're there, and they don't have to worry about where the work is coming from. Now they may be encouraged to bring in their own work, and there was systems in place where they would be rewarded for that, which is very attractive to me as someone who does try to market myself and bring work in specific to me as opposed to just my firm in general. And if I wanted to bring my marketing efforts to that, like having someone like that, having a system like that in place with money and people and vendors, I was starting to salivate. I was like, man, that sounds really good. But that's not what we have. That's not what I have. It's not available to me, and I would, in some ways, miss a little bit of the marketing and even to some degree the day-to-day operations of the firm. And like there, you'd be an employee. You wouldn't really have control over the business. And so, um, my situation is I wear those different hats. And sometimes on a day to day basis, and my life as a litigator is such that it can be very volatile. Um, for example, on Monday this week, I had something come up on my calendar that I was not anticipating that literally required me to just clear off my desk and do nothing but get this done because it had to be done by the end of the day, or it would it was a very important deadline, and so I had to scramble and get that done. And it was also my anniversary, my wife and I's anniversary, and I did not want to call and cancel our dinner plans, so I just had to do that. If I had planned to do marketing or record videos at that time, I absolutely would have canceled those. Those would have had to have waited, right? And that's what happens. That's what happens if you run a business and your marketing is part of the business. It's designed to direct people to something else as opposed to the content creation being your business, right? That's the only thing I think, if you're on YouTube at all and you're there's lots of people that are coaches and they tell you how to make content. They don't make content for their own business, really. Their job is to tell you how to do it. Or there are channels, lots of channels that their business is the channel. There are some large lawyer channels, for example, who are building a channel, and their goal is not actually to provide legal services to people, it is to build an audience and monetize that. Those are not good examples for us. They don't have to worry about, 5 o'clock deadlines to get something done because that's not what they're doing. If legal work comes in, someone else is doing it for them, or they're outsourcing it or whatever. And so for those of us that, you have a business of some sort and you want to use video or other, marketing to organically, grow that business and attract leads, it can be really hard. I find it really hard, and it will always be hard, I'm sure, to maintain the consistency at the level that I would like for it. Because when push comes to shove, in my experience, when you have a choice between doing stuff that might potentially bring someone else business in the future, or having to deal with the business you have right now, you're going to choose the business you have right now. And that's natural, and it probably is the right decision for most of us. So I want to just, the reason I'm talking about that is I want you to understand that you're not alone, and it is something that you can't ignore, and you have to be prepared for that. And then once you're aware of it and you don't beat yourself up when it happens, you're like, okay, so now what do we do to try to counteract that, or minimize the effects that has? So I'm far from perfect on this, but there are some things that I have kind of developed along the way that kind of help me, because there are different parts of the process that can become bottlenecks. Um, I One of the first things that you can and should do, I think, to help you maintain consistency is to begin delegating stuff of the process that you don't need to do. For me, that means I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who, once I make a video, so like once this video is done, she can take and do the simple editing that we do for this. I run a podcast. It's a personal podcast. It's not a business podcast, but I have literally done an episode a week. Early on, it was more than an episode a week, but an episode a week for every single week for, I think, over 3 years now, I believe. And I only missed 1 week, and that was because I was so sick, I literally couldn't talk. Today, I recorded a podcast episode for that in anticipation. I'm having surgery tomorrow, and if I'm not able to record the episode on Sunday like I normally would, I have it available. And if I can record that episode, it will be available for the future. So one thing that you can do is to have some content in reserve, for a rainy day, if you will. That to me, I think, is number one, is have some content ready to go, so that if you are trying to produce content on a certain cadence, once a week or twice a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever it is, have some have some generic stuff available so that if you just literally can't get to it, you can get it out there. That's one thing. All right. Second thing, and I already kind of talked about it, is to be delegating stuff. So be delegating stuff as much as you can so that you don't become the pain point. So maybe even when life becomes hectic, or like me, you got to like drop everything for this. I might still be able to do a video, but I'm not going to have time to do the editing, to make the cover art, to post it to YouTube, to reformat it, post it to TikTok. All of that stuff gets delegated to my assistant. So that's, I think, really, really important. A third thing, and this is a little bit say what I do, do what I say, not what I do situation, but is to calendar, to put it on your calendar. Sometimes I'm better at this than others. I'll actually put on my calendar, record videos, um, and my one podcast I was talking about, I do that with a buddy of mine, and that having a colleague, having someone that you do it with, is one of the main reasons that has been so consistent. Now it does pose challenges. When one of us is on vacation, we got to work around that. But having someone else there that's invested in the process can actually help hold you accountable and motivate you to like make it work. So one thing might be to have a co-host or have someone else that you do stuff with as that motivation to get it done even when it's difficult, or to plan ahead. So that might be an option that you can consider. Calendar it, like I said, put it on the calendar. Um, when I record my podcast with my buddy, we do that most Wednesday mornings at about 5:30 a.m. Same reason I work out in the mornings. I don't like working out in the mornings. If I had my way, I would work out at about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock p.m. after I'm done working, but before I go home. My whole body is loose. I don't have to worry about getting out of bed. I'm already out of bed, but that time slot is very vulnerable to working late or kids activities or whatever you have to do. And so I would definitely be canceling that or missing those. So for me, doing things in the morning, early in the morning, is one way to minimize the likelihood that your whatever you want to do, whether it's working out, recording, or both, gets it done. Maybe there's another time of day. Maybe it's late in the evenings or on the weekends. Whatever it is, find that time in your schedule that is least the least vulnerable to interruptions from things outside your control. And then I think the other thing is really to lean heavily on both assistance and automation, or really, I think AI at this point. I think AI is automation on steroids. Um, Both from the standpoint of idea preparation, scripting. I'm really starting to use Claude a lot. I do videos on accidents, and so what I do when I see a news story about an accident that would be um, a worthy topic for me, I'll drop it into Claude, and then I can come back later and say, give me the list of the last three accidents of the last week, or any that involve trucking or farming or whatever the topic is, and then give me a summary of the facts or whatever it is that I want. You can do a full script if you want, but a lot of times I just want, maybe I looked at that story a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I can really, give it feedback and instructions on how to put that together in a format that, let's say I have a short period of time. I can pull it out, I can read it, maybe I put it up on a teleprompter or whatever, and you record a video. So I think really using AI to minimize the amount of time that you have to spend preparing for something, and also making it as easy as possible for you to take advantage of little pockets of time to record. And the final thing that I want to say that I think kind of relates to all that I'm still actively trying to do, is to be comfortable recording in different environments. So right now, this is kind of my recording environment. Um, I have my Rodecaster over here. I've got my mic. I got another mic over here. I've got the background that I want. I've got the camera that I want. I got the teleprompter here if I want it, which I'm not using right now. This is, and I have a similar setup in my other office. Those are two my studios, if you will. That all things being equal, that's where I want to record my videos because this is going to provide the highest quality environment, sound, video, all that. But sometimes that's not possible. And I actually think one of the best places to record is in your car. Not necessarily when you're moving. I wouldn't recommend doing it when you drive, but do what you're going to do. But a car itself is actually a very nice sound environment to record. The background actually is okay unless your car is a complete mess. Put a camera on your dash. I have a mount on my dash that holds my GoPros, my action cameras. I use Insta360. It's very easy for me to pop that on there and record a video, or just put your phone there, whatever you want to do. I think I think cars may be the best place because for me, at home we have a lot of kids. It's a noisy house. It's very hard for me to find a time and space there um, that I can record that I can't wouldn't already be able to do here. So that's the thing is think about recording in other environments and don't worry that you're not in front of your perfect mic or your best camera. Um, think outside the box and be okay with that. So you're not alone. Consistency is very, very hard for those of us that are kind of, this is one of the things we do, but not the only thing that we do. You're not alone, and if you're like me, like I don't think I've posted on this channel probably for it's been a couple weeks. It may have been a month. I don't know. It's bothered me, but it's okay. I'm gonna post now, and God willing, I'll post again next week and whatever. And you just have to not let the setbacks throw you off the wagon and you stop doing it, which is what happens to most of us. Let's be honest. We slip and then we can't get back into it because we feel like we got to start over again. So give yourself some grace. Um, try to do some things to you know minimize the risk of your scheduling, your plans being disrupted, and if they do, well, get back up and redo it as soon as you can. That's my advice to you. I hope that's helpful. If you found this helpful and would like more information, I want to encourage you to join my school community. It's absolutely free. I'll have a link in the description below. Um, I share a lot of more of the things that I do. I share there that I don't put out here. Feel free to join that. Ask questions. I'll soon be doing like a weekly live stream or like a Zoom call if you want to run through some things. Like I said, it's absolutely free. Feel free to join it. And otherwise, leave a comment or send me a message, and I'll be happy to help you if I can. So I appreciate you watching. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.